Mr. Chairman, thank you all for your work as well as being here today. Mr. Sheehan, you'd mentioned that you receive so many tips, you have to triage them. What methods do you use to triage what's most important?
Thank you. It's an excellent question. We have a ranking system, and it's based on the information that's received. We have a hotline that's there 24/7 that reviews all of these leads that come through. And in some cases, you may have a company that is aware of an imminent situation, and they're going to escalate that report and bring it to our attention. But oftentimes, it's a parent or someone who's calling in and giving those key indicators that you have a child that's about to go and meet with someone, and there's imminent danger for that child. We escalate those reports. Those are our highest priority. It's the type of case that we're going to wake up Detective Beaver or some of the other ICACs in the middle of the night so they can address that situation. But every time that case comes through, every report, it's reviewed and it's triaged based on that imminent risk to the child if their life's believed to be a danger.
Well, when you're provided with child pornography, you have any way of assessing, just giving a rough percentage about how often you're able to identify the children?
Yes, and that's a key component to both the cyber tip line and our victim identification program. We have worked with technology partners such as Microsoft to develop tools like photo DNA that allows for robust image matching technologies. And the idea is to weed out known images. Our victim identification program is there specifically for that purpose of keeping track of which children have been identified, so they can in turn focus on those new victims and help law enforcement ensure that victim can be rescued from that harmful situation.
Well, Ms. Higgs, grateful for your work. When you see girls who are used in sex trafficking, and they are victims themselves, do you end up seeing them prosecuted themselves very often? How often, if they are?
Mr. Gohmert, that's a great question, and a lot of states are struggling with that very issue when it comes specifically to child sex trafficking. Something called safe harbor laws are making their way around the country where states are adopting not prosecuting children who are being forcibly prostituted. I certainly support those laws. I would like to say, if you don't mind, I would like to say something Ms. Pittman said earlier about all of the 500 former children that she spoke to who grew up on the registry had been victimized or in some way prior to that. And I just wanted to say on the victims' behalf, the vast majority of victims never become offenders. And I want us to be very careful that we don't accuse victims of child sexual abuse as having some greater percentage chance of becoming victimizers, because they have no greater chance of becoming victimizers than the average person in the population. So I just wanted to clear that up.
I know, I think, was it somewhere in California, I think one of the cities there, maybe San Francisco, had taken away the illegality of someone under a certain age engaging in sexual activity, which I understand the motivation to try to keep from making victims further, but on the other hand, from my experience as a judge and as a prosecutor, there are times when that's what gets the child out of the situation they're in. And if it's illegal, it seems like that would be more motivation for pimps to, or whoever is doing the sex trafficking, to get more and more kids because, gee, it's not illegal for them to do it. Detective Beaver, you have observation about whether it should be illegal or not for children to engage in inappropriate sexual activity?
In regards to that, we find sometimes the only way to get them the services that they need is through the court. We seek them to voluntarily go and have treatment and to be able to be re-entered into society and not have to be in that world. But unfortunately, sometimes the only way to do it is through forced services through the courts. but I would argue that there should be a multi-layered, not just a one charge fits all for those situations, and a better look at what violation there is that fits their situation.
Thank you. My time's expired, but it seems like it may be more appropriate to make sure prosecutors and judges are educated about the role they can play rather than making that kind of activity legal.